I do find that. All right. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear myself. That's good. It's always a bonus. Good evening, everyone. That light's really bright. Thank you. Sorry, it just reflects on my glasses. I can't see. Just like to welcome you all here tonight. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Diane. I'm your MC tonight. Do we have any visitors or potential new members here tonight? Was that a yes I heard? Oh, yes. Hello. Welcome. Oh, welcome. Nice to see you here. Hopefully we'll see you again one evening. And hope you enjoyed tonight. I hope everybody had an enjoyable long weekend and enjoyed the hot weather on the Saturday. It was very nice. Actually got my legs out for the first time, which was a bit scary, a bit white. Yeah, very scary. Just a quick recap on the evacuation route, should we need it. The emergency doors either side of the stage, out through the front door, and the toilets, of course, is where we left them last week. They're in the far right-hand corner of the building. And could you please turn your phones on silent if you haven't done so already? Okay, good. Unfortunately, I missed tonight's talk on the by Diana, so I'd like to thank you for that, and I'm sorry I missed it. I hope everybody enjoyed it and learnt from your expertise. We had a meeting tonight for the finals night, which I think is the 3rd of December, although I didn't actually note the date, so hopefully we'll all be organised in time. I think we're going to do the MDC results now. Ian, if that's all right. I've just been asked to do them tonight, so I believe the subject was get low. So Right, some excellent images there. Well done. That would have actually been hard to judge. I think there was a lot of really good images there. So well done to Anne. Oh, do you want to come forward, Anne? Hey? You come, you all right? You're very quiet. Huh? You get your fish? Huh? Yeah, the trophy. A bag of fish, apparently. Hang on. But you haven't finished yet. You have to choose next month now. So can you give me a number between 1 and 7? Yeah. Okay, hang on. Number 6. Okay, and number between 1 and 30. 8. Okay, number 6, 8. Oh, spit it around. Oh, okay. Take that as you will. Spit, it says. Do you think it means spin or a pig on a spit type of spin? I mean, there's a pig on a spit and there's spittoons and that's about it. So we'll say spin, okay? Spin, I'll correct this. All right, that's for this this coming month's MDC. We'll change that in a minute. Oh, well, that was interesting. Has anybody got anything they want to bring up tonight at all in the way of notices or anything? Alan, do you want to do it from here? Okay.
Just a bit of a warning. Subs are due, and you'll all get an email soon on the 1st of next month. So just to warn you, because usually it came at the beginning of December, but people complained. So it's coming a month early.
Before they spend their money.
Because your membership does actually end at the end of November. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, Ian, I was just going to say, JK, before I forget, are all the trophies in? No. But you know who they are. So, okay, so if you're one of the culprits, please make sure you bring your trophy back or get in touch with JK because we need to get them off to the engravers, I think by about the 9th of November at the very latest. So, Ian.
Another final night thing. We had a meeting about final night just before. I have just been presented with a whole bag of these little cups. Apparently, CPS used to present an actual cup that you took away and kept when you won an award at final night. So we're going to do it again this year, because these cups were all won by Derek Hearn, who was a prominent CPS member some time ago, and these were essentially left at his house, and they found their way back to us, and I was given this big bag of cups. Basically, I don't want them, but I actually think it'll be quite a cool thing to have. So if you win a cup this year, you will get a little one that you get to keep. Some of them have the name of the cup on them, and we'll match those up where possible, and some of them are not, but either way. Anyway, so that's some little extra special thing for the winners of this year's finals night. Come and have a look at them later on if you want to. Yeah.
Somebody's got a lot of cleaning to do.
Yeah, anybody wants to
clean them, yeah. You can take one home and clean it and bring it back. Oh, wow, okay. And next week we've got show and tell, I think, for the creative workshop that was run by Gail and Judy. So I don't know if I went. I enjoyed it. I discovered that I'm not very good at it, but it certainly opened my eye to the world of photography using mixed media. So if anyone's got that sort of interest, it'd be worth coming along to listen to that talk. Whereas some of the people who did really well will be showing their images. I won't, needless to say. And then afterwards next week will be 8 o'clock with the projected image 10, which will be the last competition of the year. So, yeah, we're winding through very, very quickly. It's gone this whole year now. So for tonight's program, we've got print 5, and you'll have probably had a look at the prints. Tonight, for those of you who get acceptance or above, can you leave your prints on the wall? I will be taking them home tonight, finish the labelling, and I'll post them off for judging for the end of the year tomorrow sometime. Okay, so it's just 3 and above, acceptance and above, please. So I've got a bio. Our judge was Judy Stokes, who actually was one of the ladies who ran that creative workshop. She does a lot of ICM, and I've reminded her today that she hadn't sent me her bio, so here it is. She started her photographic journey 10 years ago. Judy quickly developed a love for creating images with her camera that looked more like paintings than photographs. Largely inspired by the natural world, excuse me, Judy spends many hours of solitude in it with her camera, often using the technique of intentional camera movement for her images, including her landscapes. Judy has achieved recognition for her images in competitions nationally and internationally, and loves to exhibit her work regularly in solo and collaborative art exhibitions around New Zealand. She also has a passion for sharing her photographic skills and her love of creative photography with like-minded photographers, and has been giving workshops throughout New Zealand for a number of years now. Judy is in the process of setting up a new home and studio on a wild clifftop coastal property in Northland, where she will offer her 2-day photographic retreats and workshops. She enjoys judging for PSNZ and tries to give photographers useful tips. She does, however, encourage people to follow their own hearts rather than be tied by judges' critique. So that'll be worth keeping in the back of your mind tonight, while we hand you over to Joe, who's doing the reading of the critiques, and Ian. Not quite ready. Sorry, I threw him in the deep end. Sorry. Chat amongst yourselves for a moment. I don't have anything else to add. Sorry, I'm struggling with the light here. Oh. Oh, we didn't it wasn't pulled back up, the ones we were looking at before. Hang on. See if I can remember. Is it timed out?
Someone's changed it.
Not guilty.
Someone changed it. Someone selected the whole lot. Someone did a good job.
No, I didn't touch it. Clearly, no. Oh, sorry. All right, we seem to have liftoff. So, yes, ready, Joe? Okay, thank you.
Hello, Gordon. Oh, we're on. Okay, leading lines. I enjoy the composition of this image, which has also been drawn to our attention by the title. I do find the quality of the image lets it down. In my view, the whole image is quite soft and there seems to be noise in the sky area. I enjoy noticing the undulating road and feel the creation of a sense of depth through the poles getting smaller towards the back of the image works really well. Score 2, Solitary Sentinel. I enjoy the stance of the kingfisher with his beady eye watching us. I'm not sure all of the negative space on the left is needed for an effective composition. I also feel the quality of the print is not quite crispy enough to let us enjoy the bird. I feel I am wanting more clarity, especially around his eye and just behind his eye. Perfect Beauty. I enjoy the direct gaze of this model. I do find the bright object behind and to the right of the model creates a distraction in the image. I also find the straps of her clothing a distraction. There are also very bright areas along her nose, above her mouth, and on her chin. In my view, these catch my attention. Instead, I would prefer my eye to be drawn directly to her eyes. I wonder if some blurring has been added to the image. Her hair seems strangely soft in some areas. I'm not sure this adds to the image. I enjoy the close-up crop of the model's face. Hellebore. I enjoy the unusual composition of this image. The print of this image seems softer and brighter than the digital reference image. For me, this is a pity as I am judging the print. In the print, I find the main stamen slightly soft and overexposed. Looking at the print, it also feels like the depth of field is too shallow to have a nice quality through the image. I find your pink background works well with the subject matter, and I enjoy the compositional diagonal formed from the bottom left of the image to the top right. Mother's Love. I enjoy the close crop of this couple. I find the focus works for the mother's left eye and mouth, but I do find the focus on the child's face too soft, perhaps too narrow a depth of field. I enjoy the colour tones of the image, and yes, I can feel the mother's love of her child. Fanfare Spin. I enjoy the use of the slow shutter speed here, giving us an almost 3D sphere effect. My eye is distracted by a rather lot of dust spots in the image. These dust spots are the enemy of ICM images. I also feel the very bright rectangle of light on the right-hand third of the image is a distraction rather than an addition to the image. I enjoy the close crop and the portrait shape of the image. Score 3. Strong Jet Rider. I think your title draws our attention to the fact that you are wanting us to notice the jet boat rider's strength, and in my view, this is an effective focal point of the image. I wondered if the eyes of the rider might be lightened just a little in post-production. I think small adjustments of lighting are allowed in PJ images, right? In my view, this would lift the image. I also feel a slightly crisper print would improve the image. Dahlia Bloom. I like closeness of the flower in this image. I do wonder whether the optimal crop has been chosen, as the way the bottom of the image has been cropped seems to draw attention to the out of focus petals in that area, and I'm not sure the black corner adds to the image. I wonder whether still cropping a close crop but potentially rotating the image might have helped in this area. The depth of field in the image is very narrow. I feel a slightly bigger area in focus, perhaps the whole circle of inner petals, could potentially have lifted the photograph. I do enjoy the softer outer petals in the background at the top left of the image. Feather tip tidy. I feel your choice of decisive moment works well for this image and gives us a wonderful impact factor. I do enjoy the detail in a lot of the feathers, in the beak and in the eye, and wonder if slightly more detail in the chest area of the bird would add to the image. I find there is a slightly over bright area in the chest and just along the tail area of the bird. I can't find the bird's feet. I do like your compositional crop and beautifully soft background. Evelyn, filtered. I think your filter works effectively with this image, and I enjoy the mixture of black and white and colour. I'm not sure the lighter vignette works with the graphic nature of the image. In my opinion, a closer square crop might be more effective than this vignette, as I get distracted by the outer edges of the image. I feel where the purple is in the image is the gem of the image. A boy and his bike. The composition of this image, where the boy is next to his rather large bicycle framed by the dusty road, in my view works beautifully to tell a story. I do find my eye is very distracted by the bright handlebars, and this draws my attention away from the boy's gentle face. I also find the focus on the boy's face rather too soft for this style of portrait. I enjoy the close cropping. Poolburn Settlement. What a beautiful time of the day to take your image. I do feel the quality of your print is less than of the digital reference shot, and this is a pity, as I have to judge the print. The print seems much softer in focus and brighter. There are some bright, distracting windows catching the sun within the image, which might be worth darkening a bit in post-production. I do enjoy the elevated point of view and the composition where we are led through the settlement and find interesting features along the way. Mackenzie Country Reflected. This is a rather unusual take of the Mackenzie Country, and I enjoy the graphic nature of the image. As it is a reflection image brought to the front by your title, I wonder if having the mountain also reflected might have enhanced the image. I find the concrete bollards slightly soft in focus for this style of very textural image. I do enjoy the layers through the image and the repeated patterns. Score 4, Clutter. Your title certainly matches the image. I like the way the floor acts as a way to lead the viewer into the clutter. I wonder if a crop off the top, where it is very bright due to the window, would enhance the image and keep the viewer within the clutter. My eye is also drawn to the very bright window or door at the back of the shop. This could potentially be darkened a tad. I find with images like this, it's a good idea to be very aware of where you want to lead your viewer's eyes and use the light to do this. This makes for an interesting textural documentary shot. Chaffinch against the snow. I really enjoy the way this chaffinch is framed within the frame. I do feel his eyes could be lightened very slightly in post-production, and I wonder if a very small crop off the right-hand side would be effective. along the road. I find your unusual point of view interesting and effective. It also ties in beautifully with your title. A few white highlights in the fields in the right-hand edge of the road catch my eye, and I'm not sure whether the softness of focus of the tower at the bottom of the image works. In my view, having this foreground crisper would lift the image. I think your subject matter and almost minimalistic abstract treatment of it works. Marching trees. I like the time of day you have chosen to photograph this popular spot. I also enjoy the detail in the water. I find the way the branches fill the negative space of the sky on the right-hand side effective. I do find the branches going above the mountains on the left-hand side a distraction, especially the furthest left one. I find the quality of your print high and enjoy the crisp mountains. Central Otago. In my view, the slightly sepia, old worldly tint has worked for this image and added to it. I do wonder whether just a very subtle amount more contrast added to the building will have lifted the image. I enjoy the composition with a lot of foreground and seeing the grasses within which the building sits. Dropped in. I enjoy the way the bubble frames this droplet, but do, however, find the fact that it is a lighter colour draws my attention away from the magical action and interest within it. In my view, having the reflection of the bubble would really lift the image. As it stands, I find the crop at the bottom of the image rather awkward. I wonder if the shutter speed needed to be faster to freeze the action more crisply. I do find the stem of the mushroom, per se, just slightly soft. I also feel a greater depth of field getting all the edges of the bubble sharp would lift the image. Some of the patterns within the water are very beautiful. Australasian crested grebe. In my view, the print quality of this image is superb. I find the eye and water on the feathers within the narrow depth of field beautifully sharp. I'm not sure I personally agree with such a narrow depth of field. I'd love to see the tip of the beak sharp and the back of the hairdo sharp too. But I enjoy the unusual effect of the soft back of the bird and out of focus water. I enjoy the crop and composition. School 5, Urban Blue. I love the simplicity of this image and its minimal colour palette and graphic composition. The horizontal blocks at the very bottom left do catch my eye, and I wonder if they added to the image. In the print, I do also miss the very bottom of the vertical black window. For me, an added gem in the image is the hint of light coming in between the grey vertical stripes in the middle of the image. I feel the single cloud is also an integral component of the image. I find this image an extremely well-constructed graphic statement. Passage of time. I find this an unusual and very effective statement image. I enjoy the placement of your vortex effect created by the star trails in relation to the foreground rocks. I do feel cloning out the few lighter spots on the ground would lift the image as they caught my eye as a distraction. I enjoy the amount of subtle light on the rocks and feel your image works beautifully as a whole. Lake Heron Twilight. I feel you have effectively captured the feeling and mood of twilight. I do rather enjoy the subdued tones within which we still find the crispness within the mountains and detail within the foreground. In my view, the composition is perfectly balanced, and I enjoy the layers presented to us. I feel this is a very effective landscape image. Shrouded by mist. I enjoy the place and time you have chosen to take this image, where we have a soft background created by the mist. I do wonder whether slightly more room around the island feature might lift the image. In my view, it is quite tightly cropped. I love the mood you have managed to capture. Golden leaves. The paper and technique chosen to print this image, in my view, lifts the image and gives it rather an interesting quality. I enjoy noticing the details and change of light as you look at the image from different angles. I find your composition of the subject matter is almost an abstract of nature, is effective, but having the one whole leaf, but having the one whole leaf as a focal point gives us, the viewer, an anchor. The Blue Hour. I enjoy the minimalistic quality of this image with a hint of mystery about it. I find the mist just above the water effective, and in my view, the moon hangs effectively in the negative space. There are slightly blown out whites in the back of the water, and it might be worth slightly underexposing the image next time. I enjoy the patterning found within the water. Graffiti or art. I find the quality of your print a high standard. I enjoy the subject matter and the question you have raised. I feel you have put enough of your own interpretation to the scene with the composition and the lighting for it to be more than a record shot of someone else's art. And score 6, Blue Lace Flower. In my view, this photographer has taken an image to the next level and used a photograph to create a work of art. I enjoy the presentation using paper with ragged edges and floating it within the mat. I enjoy the use of a texture and a border in the image. I enjoy the inclusion of related words used, and most of all, I appreciate the quality of the image of the blue lace flowers. They are crisp and beautifully placed within the image. For me, this image works superbly on so many levels. And there we are.
Sorry, I think I turned it off accidentally. Thank you for reading those, Joe. Thank you, Diana. You're going to come forward, and Janine will do this. Sorry? Oh, yes, okay. Oh, these are certificates. Oh, that's something else, is it? Oh, you've got them there, okay.
It's on? Great. So first accepted image is Strong Jet Rider by Anne Yuan. Dahlia Bloom by Diana Andrews. Feather Tip Tidy by Dawn Kirk. Eveline Filtered by Nelson Boosted. A Boy and His Bike by Alastair Phillips. Paul Byrne Settlement by John McCall. Mackenzie Country Reflected by Janine Money. That's me. Thank you. Thank you. Clutter by John McCall. This is the first of the high acceptances. Chaffinch Against the Snow by Jane Barnes. Along the Road by Paul Williams. Marching Trees by J.K. Central Otago by Stuart Klook. Dropped In by Jane Barnes. Australasian Crested Grebe by Mike White. This is the first of the Honours Images, Urban Blue by Diane Kelsey. Passage of Time by Mike White. Lake Huron Twilight by J.K. Shrouded by Mist by Janine Money. Golden Leaves by Stuart Klook. Is that right? The Blue Hour by Jan Bogue. It is, yes. Graffiti or Art by Jan Bogue. And this is Honours and Best in Show, Blue Lace Flower by Diane Kelsey. Oh. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. No, it's fine. I'll stay. The light's bugging me a bit tonight. Well done, everybody. Some fabulous images. Shall I talk about this one? And we'll go through. Okay. Yes. Okay. Just having a messing about, really. These were flowers I don't even know where they came from, maybe my daughter's garden, or I picked them on the side of the road. And I just took them originally on a white background. And they were actually joined, so I separated them. And that was a basic white background. It sort of grew, this image. I wasn't sure where I was going with it. So I put on a paper background texture, and then I decided it needed more, so I found a concrete one, with a little bit more texture. So I put that on, and then I decided I'd put some writing on. So it was basically I typed out a document in a chose the font, printed it out, photographed it, put it back into Lightroom and Photoshop, warped it, skewed the writing so I got that sort of bent shape, and then used that as an overlay, texture background. Then I decided it needed a frame. So I basically found a texture that I had where it was a panel of a door, and it gave me the edge. So I used that. And it was changed the color a little bit to make it a little bit more sepia. Then I put it back in Lightroom and played with it a bit more, put some extra texture just to crisp the image up a little bit around the flowers and what have you. Changed the color again. And then I think I was happy with it. So sent it to the printers and told him I wanted to have a sort of a matte paper, textured paper, and to ask him to decal the edge. That's what they do. It's called decaling. If you've noticed on there, they rip it with a special ruler around the edge, and then we decided to float mount it rather than actually, so you could actually see the decaling. So it looked like, in theory, a piece of paper torn out of a book. In hindsight, it would have been nice to do the whole thing on paper that was tea or coffee stained, but I don't actually know whether you can do that and then put it through a printer. I'm really not sure how that would work. But anyway, that was the plan, to make it look sort of aged. So, yeah, it was fun. Just took a few hours one afternoon. So I don't know whether that's of any use to anyone knowing that, but have a play. Okay, so next image, going backwards. Could we go back? Oh, there we go. Jan, are you still here? Do you want to talk about both yours? Yes. Come on. Yes, you do. Come here. Come. No, all right, I'll come to you. Just a quick few words.
This was taken at Kaiteriti Spit. Well, I think it's part of the Spit. And I liked the graffiti, but when I looked at it, I thought, well, no, that's somebody's lovely artwork. So that's why I decided my title was Graffiti or Art. And yeah, it just turned out quite well.
Okay, and I think yours the next one. Yeah, this one's
Yes. As Mike pointed out, my moon's probably round the wrong way. This is a composite. I took this on a course with John Foster. My lens actually failed, so he gave me his lens, and it was stunning. I just didn't want to give it back. But yes, it worked out quite well, and I quite like the idea of doing more composites.
okay. Just a question. So you've got a separate sky and the water, and stuck the moon in, or?
No, I just stuck the moon in.
Oh, so I just stuck the moon in. I like it. It's very nice, restful. Okay, thank you. Who was next? It was one of Mike's. Oh, I know. I saw him. He's gone. There you go.
Where do I start with this one? It's a carbon print. I've been playing around with carbon printing on glass. So carbon print is a pigmented gelatin using printer's ink. So normally they stay on the glass, and behind the glass you put typically a golden pigmented color behind it, and it's called an orotone. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to show the relief of the print, so I actually put the pigmented gelatin on the carbon print itself. And that's normally where they stay, but this one actually popped off the glass, which it probably shouldn't have done, but it did. Which actually was pretty good, because I wanted to try and find a way to get them off the glass to then put them onto a piece of paper. So this one did it all by itself. And the actual the golden pigment behind is an interference pigment. So that's when you look at the image, you might see a black and white print, or depending if the angle of the light is not straight on, you'll see it turn gold. So that's the effect. Yeah. And also you'll see the relief in the carbon print as well. So, yeah. This is a platinum palladium print. Large format camera, but again, using digital negatives to enlarge the print. So the digital negative is the same size as the print. It's a contact print process. Yeah, I just love the shape of those buildings, and it's more around the shape and the isolation. That's what I really enjoyed. And I think the platinum process worked well for this image and a couple more in that series. So, yeah. This is pretty straightforward. Probably a day to coat the paper and expose it and develop it. The carbon prints probably several days, a couple of weeks. The pigmented gelatin takes about 4 days to dry. And if it hasn't gone mouldy, I'll then expose it and develop it. So there's
Very creative. I really appreciate the work that you put into those images. They're fabulous. Okay, who we got next? Mike's got a couple, I think. Mike? Yep.
This is Castle Hill. I've spent quite a bit of time up there this winter, just exploring different ideas and techniques and compositions and weather and all sorts of things with astrophotography. The night I was up there, another photographer turned up who decided he wanted to flash studio lights and things around where I was shooting. So I wandered off to look for something else to do, and found these rocks which aligned quite nicely with the southern celestial pole, which is the point in the sky that the stars all appear to rotate around. Hence why there's pretty much nothing in the centre of the star trails there. And then they rotate around from that point. The advantage with digital is rather than having to do a single 3-hour exposure where you might get an aeroplane or something fly through it and satellites that ruin each frame, ruin your whole exposure. Digitally, you can just take a sequence of shots, so it's about 400 30-second exposures, I think it is, and then just stacked in Photoshop with a couple of techniques to soften the ends. It doesn't actually take very long. Once you get into it, it's a fairly quick routine, but a lot of photographers will start the camera and go and have a sleep in the car. That's 3 hours of me sitting there under the rocks enjoying the night sky, waiting for the other lot to bugger off so I could finish my other shot. It was a nearly perfect night, but when I got back to the car in the morning, I chucked my bag in there and thought I'll go and use the facilities, which, as you know, is in the car park. And the battery in my electronic key died, which was secured in my backpack that I'd just put in the car. And so the car locked itself behind me, and everything was safe. It was a stunning sunrise that morning, but I couldn't photograph it. And I finished shooting at about 5, and I had to wait till about 9 till Margaret turned up with the spare key. So it was quite an eventful night.
There's a lot to be said for just the old-fashioned keys. Okay, I think.
No, I just programmed the camera to take that many shots over 3 hours. I like to sit there and watch just in case a battery stops or something, and I can keep an eye on lens fogging and that sort of thing in between. So yeah, no, the camera's just running away doing its own thing while I'm sitting there watching it and watching the sky. Yeah, yep. I used I was shooting for the whole night, so I used 2 batteries for about 10 hours of shooting. Yeah.
It's Canon batteries. Yeah, they're pretty good. We got, I think Mike's next.
It's a Grebe.
A very cute one as well. Yes.
Yeah, I've never been much of a bird photographer, or didn't think I was until I started photographing them. I think it comes down to finding the right ones that you like. and I was camping at the little lake next to Alexandrina, so Lake McGregor. There's a campsite there after doing some astro. And when I got up in the morning, I thought, well, it's a nice day, I'll go and see what I can find. So I went to the car park at the end that you all know. And in the little creek there, much to my surprise, were about 100 of these guys and girls. Last season, it was quite early on in the season, so there was no one else there. So I just sort of sat and watched the behaviour for an hour or so and see what was going on. I thought I'd get the camera out and take a few shots. I wandered around both sides of the creek. And then I thought I'll just lie down and see what happens. So I was just lying on that wee footbridge that goes across. They're all paddling around and going under and coming back with food and doing all sorts of stuff and doing what they do. Didn't seem to mind me being there at all. And then finally I managed to get one looking straight down camera. So I was pretty well pleased with that. The only thing I wasn't happy about was that I hadn't checked the aperture at a time, which Judy picked up on. So it would have been nice to get a bit more of the head and focus, but I got the eyes and I thought that was good enough for me with the rest of it. So it's I was quite happy with that. I went back about 2 weeks later and talking to the locals. Doc at that stage had put up, some of you might have seen it last year, a temporary fencing around the nesting site because evidently some other photographers had turned up and had decided to wander up and down the creek itself to get their photos of the nests, which was kind of sad to hear. So it sort of spoiled it for everyone else. So yeah, it just sort of right place, right time. But the old nature first principles. The footbridge was there and they were happy to use it. I was happy to use it, but walking up and down the creek to get a shot, the locals called Doc, and so if anyone wonders why that fence ended up there last year, that's why. But when I was there last weekend, it was just, I saw less than half a dozen grebes in the lake, so won't be the place to be this season by the looks of it.
Okay, thanks, Mike. What have we got now? Oh, yep, mine. Okay. That's basically 2 shots. The building, which is the top section of a bathroom shop, and I don't know which street it's in Christchurch. I'd seen it before the light hit it, and I like the shadows, so I thought I'd make an image out of that. And at the same time, I took a photograph of a lonely cloud in the sky and swapped the sky over to position the cloud. Well, it should be in the middle, but maybe it's not quite in the middle. And that's basically just 2 images. And I think I probably corrected the vertical slightly in post, but I try and get things as straight as I can when I take them. So, that's simple, quick image. That's about it. Anybody else like to? How are we doing for time? Is that it? Yep. Okay. Thank you very much for running through those again. Don't know whether we've got supper tonight, because John said he had to go. Okay, so if anyone would like to go through for drinks, we'll have a look next door. So I think really that's all that remains for me is to thank everyone that helped tonight. Open and close was Dennis, I think, although I haven't seen him. Meet and greet John Hawkins, projection Ian. Joe, thank you for reading the critique. I was going to thank John for the supper, but he's gone. And I don't know, we've got Wayne, Gordon and Andrew I think I've seen here tonight. So thank you guys. Thank everybody. I also sort of like to thank you all for coming and putting up with me tonight again. I always struggle with this job. And safe drive home. See you next week.
you.